My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to Transport Fever 2. In the past couple of episodes we've spent some time just getting the final commodities into a few cities, mainly Herne Bay and into Epping. However, in today's episode I'd like to diverge from that slightly and start doing a bit of fluff or filler, for want of a better phrase, and just hooking up some of these other industries that we have on our map that we're currently not utilising. We don't need to use them. I'm obviously talking about doubled up industries such as the second coal mine, farms and so on and so forth. And the reason we don't really need to use them is because our existing infrastructure is more than capable of meeting the demands of the higher tier industries. So providing them inputs from two separate base or primary industries isn't necessary at all, but I'd like to do it just to, well, just like I said, it's a bit of filler really, just to get the network fleshed out even more and to, for want of a better phrase, kill a bit of time while we advance to the more modern eras. Obviously we have recently unlocked the diesels, and we can see one, the fuel diesel, heading down there past us just now. Or is that electric? Ah, that's electric. The diesel is the goods train, which is just also passing on the Western Freight Line heading towards George Stephenson. Now I have made a bit of a start on this between episodes, and I'll show you what I've done, and that's where we'll make our start. So let's bring up the user interface before we do anything else. Obviously I did have the game running in the background. I had the date paused, or the calendar paused, but the actual gameplay was running, which explains why we're up to £1.4 billion. But that's not a problem, or it's largely irrelevant, as our company is profitable enough that we don't really have to worry about it. So anyway, so as I said, I have made a start. One of the first things I've done is I've put down another passenger station where we're going to have an extra village. Obviously these roads do just terminate at the map's edge, but I'm sure you can use your imagination to imagine that they're going off to the wider world. We don't have a name for this village yet, so I'll leave that up to you good people. If you can think of a name for the village, or you want it named after yourself in some way, obviously there's no ego judgments here at all, then do let me know down below in the comments. But aside from that, what I've also done is we can see we've got a couple of trunk lines here and link lines, and I've put a station by this coal mine here. We don't have anything running on this new track just yet, but the plan is the coal train that we're going to set up today will head down here. It will join into this passenger line before crossing over, heading down this way, coming down the hill here, coming this way. We'll pass through this platform here, which has obviously been utilised already, and it already does have a few lines passing through, so we might get a bit busy there, but that's fine. And then we're going to come down here. This outer track here is new, so we're going to utilise this, join in here to the... Can we get over to the left? No, we can't, so we do need to do something else very quickly actually, and that's just put in something like that. We don't want that signal there because we don't want to be blocking in anything coming down this way. So yes, we join the Western Freight Line, we head up this way, and then we're just going to drop off the coal at the steel mill up here. We're already supplying coal, of course. We're doing it via some trucks from this coal mine right here, and we do have plenty in stock, and these are keeping us nicely stocked up at the steel mill. Now I do find in my experience, and this may be a shared experience with you guys, or perhaps you've got different experiences of this, but when you have two lines bringing in the same good from from different origin points, the balancing can get very, very weird. I've never really done too much investigating as to how the game determines which line is the primary supplier and which is just a secondary supplier, but ideally I want this line here to very much be the secondary supplier. I don't want this one to suddenly stop producing as much because the game is wanting me or forcing me to use this. Ideally, we want this just to be a slow, casual shunting. So it's not shunting, it's going a fair distance, but just a little service up to there, just to bring this industry into play. It's not needed, of course, as I said at the start, but I want to bring it into play regardless, and it just fills out the network a little bit more and just diversifies it that little bit. So then, what we're going to need first of all are some signals on this new stretch of track that I have just constructed off camera. So let's go ahead and do that. Now this whole line up here is just going to be single track. So we want a two-way signal just here prior to joining this passenger line. And we also want, well, nothing else apart from the coal train is going to be running down here. And we are, I believe, or my plan is just to run the one train here anyway. So we don't need to worry about the signals quite so much. But just for the aesthetics, I am going to populate signals down here. And because it's all single track, these do have to be two-way signals. So we'll do that. And if we're only running one train, at least initially, we don't have to worry about trains getting deadlocked and facing off against one another with nowhere to go. So this is all signaled up down here, so this is fine. And here and now it is also signaled up as well. The next thing we want to look at is whether we have a spare platform up here, and I do not believe that we do. Ah, yes we do. Platform number 2 right here in the middle is not currently utilised. So the coal train was going to have it run into this platform, I think, rather than build an extra platform when we already have one there waiting for us. And can they get back? Yes, they can. And because it's only single traffic, we don't have to worry too much about causing any, like I said, deadlock. So let's get a coal line set up. I might just keep this as load if available, just to see if that has any impact on which industry the game will see as the primary producer. As I said, ideally I want it to be this industry up here, which we've been utilising for several years now. So we're going to come down here then, and just to make sure we're going the right way, we're going to hit that signal, and then we're going to come through here. Then we're going to come down here. We're going to cross over. We probably want to actually put another signal down here just to clear that junction. So let's go ahead and do that. And this does want to be one way. So let's give ourselves a signal just there. And what the heck, just to double up, we'll put one on the opposite tracks as well. So back to the line. So yes, we're going to come down here. Let's click Add Station. We're going to come all the way up here. And we're going to run into Axbridge Annex. Again, name ideas, please drop them down below. And as I alluded to in the recent episode, I think it was the last one, it might have been the one before. If you don't see the name being brought into effect immediately, that's just because I record several episodes back to back and then upload them with a few days apart, so it might take a little while, but I will get round to it and it will come through eventually. Anyway, we need to go into platform 2. Yeah, that's fine. And then you're going to head back down this way. So this freight line now is quite busy. As we can see, we've got, let's just count, 1, 2, 3, 4 services running northbound, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe. Now that's 6 services running southbound. So adding extra, maybe triple tracking the southbound. What's that? Completely drawn a blank. Yeah, having a triple track on the southbound track might be a viable thing we have to look into, just to balance the load between the two. Northbound, I think we're going to be okay. We don't have as many coming north. Anyway, back to what we were doing. So yeah, we're going to come back through here, and then we're going to come up here, back up here, around here, and back up to our starting station of Herne Bay Station number 2, which we shall rename to the Herne Bay Coal Mine. Okay. So let's just quickly name the line itself. And this will be Coal Herne Bay to Axbridge Steel Mill. There we go. So, because we don't want this to be the primary line, I'm going to keep the train on this one reasonably short, or comparatively short. So let's see what we've got. And if you noticed a little while ago, we did unlock a new locomotive, which is the BRV 100. Good for shunting services, but at 56 miles per hour. In fact, should we have that? It's a bit weak though. I'll see what we can do with it actually, because like I said, if this line doesn't make us any money, it doesn't really matter. And I don't want the game to start suddenly chucking out thousands of tons of coal every year at this station. I want it to just be a little trickle output of coal. So shall we say something like that maybe? With do we want to? No, we don't really need another locomotive on there. Although it would be nice. Can they reverse? I don't know if they can. I don't think they can, because usually the reversing ones have the back-to-back arrow above them. So we'll just keep it as that then, and we'll just have one. We will colour it, so once we've purchased it, so buy that, that's 13 million. Now we can colour it without having to remove all of the wagons and the locomotive. Head up here so we can see the line, which we can now do. It's visible right here. And if you go Coal Herne Bay to Axbridge Steel Mill, what we'll do then is we'll just keep half an eye as to how much coal this is going to chuck out. And hopefully it doesn't cause this one to start to dry up, because that would be a bit of a shame. Okay, so what other industries could we potentially look at connecting as well, just for something to do? Well, we could bring in iron from here, from Barton. We could connect over into the freight line here. In fact, the first thing I want to do is what I was just alluding to there when we were checking the line, and just perhaps triple track this southbound leg of the eastern freight line. I've been getting my compass directions all wrong all episode. So yes, this is very much the eastern freight line. And I think I will triple track this here. So if we have the track come out to say there, yes, it's slow, but it does mean we don't have to move this signal, because that will allow trains to come down here if they're waiting. And let's just go, should we just go as far as we can with it, I think? Which is going to be pretty much up to Axbridge Steel Mill. Oh, I could go past. No, it's not. Will it let me go past? Collision, yes, I thought you might. Yeah, we don't want that. Not sure why it's decided to do it in that manner. Let's just go as far as here for now. We can always merge it in prior or just after this tunnel here, depending on which perspective you're viewing this. And now can we go past? No. It could be because of that signal though. Although I doubt it. It's because we have is that a switch just there? Yes, it is. That's the problem. We have a switch here, so that's why we can't go past there. Well, let's just have a quick look. We only have 2 services coming on both north and southbound here anyway, so we don't really need to worry about that. We can just go as far... Where did we bring it up to? Yeah, let's just have it after this tunnel, branch off, and go down there. So we'll do like this. Can we get the full speed? We can. And there we go. Now let's go ahead and just populate this new track with some signals the entire way. And we'll just marry up with the other signals that we already have, like so. Obviously these are different style signals, so it might look a little bit strange, but it doesn't really matter. And do that. So no line has readjusted itself yet. So what I'm going to do is do some filtering here. So here we go. Here we can see, okay, it's only 5 services, not 6 coming down here, but that's okay. So this will be one of the lines I put onto this new stretch of track, because we're not concerned by how slow or fast it is going. So I want you to come down this way. I'd prefer you to stay on the main line. What else? Let's have you come down this way as well. So after epping transfer, I'd like you to come down this track as well. And then we have 1, 2, so we have 4 coming up that way, 3 there, and we have 2 going down there. That just balances it, balances out a little more. We could do the same on here and put this into quad track, and then some of these northbound services we could divert onto the new stretch of track. I'm thinking the coal shunt line would be a prime candidate here. Shall we do that? I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And again, because it's a slow service and a service that isn't crucial to the overall fortunes of our network, I will have a slow turn off there. What do we have there? The Canada Air CL44. Planes are still something we could look into. Maybe a passenger line, actually, from, say, Epping down to Long Eaton. Perhaps we'll do that in the next episode, actually. Yeah, why not? Anyway, so let's now signal this new stretch of track. And we want it to be one way. So we'll have one there just before you merge back into double track. We'll put one there. Because I think we're only going to have the new coal line running down here, we don't need too many blocks because, of course, we're only running the one train. But I think that should be more than adequate. So let's go back to this. Select this. Now, what signal are you? You're that signal, and you are that signal. So that's all fine. So if we want to add station, we want to add it between the signal number 156 and the Axbridge Annex. Like so. Yeah, and that just keeps this main line a little bit less congested. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So how are we looking in terms of our output? So you're still chucking out 1,200 per year, which is great. What about our new line down here? What are you chucking out? You're sticking at 400, but you won't upgrade yet because we haven't actually transported anything. And where is the train? I guess it's going the long way around. Oh, that's not the train. That's the train. Whereabouts are you? Oh, no, you have come the short way around. So in theory, you could come up here and round here. Let's see if you do that. Let's just speed it up a little here and see if he does take the logical option. Indeed he does. That's reassuring. So this is just an access line more than anything then, because we don't have any services running down here. We don't have a need for coal south of this coal mine. But here it comes now. Let's just put the game back to normal speed. And it will come around, and like I said, if it makes us any money, then great. If it doesn't, I'm not really that concerned. We can absorb any loss that this line may make. I'm pretty sure it's not going to lose £100 million per year. In fact, I can guarantee it won't, because the train maintenance isn't that high for this one, because it's only a small service. Okay, so that's that. I wonder if we could probably do something similar with our lines here. What do we have coming up this way? Again, we've got 5. So perhaps it's worth having this stretch of track between that merge lane, that junction here. It's not a merge lane, it's more of a road feature. And this station, we could triple track that. And what about down here? What do we have going on here? Again, it's 5. So again, we could think about having this increase in the amount of lines we have. In fact, all of this western freight line is quite busy. So do we want to do something similar there then and just expand this to a quad track between the station and this junction? Again, why not? It's not gonna harm anything. And I dare say, let's just get rid of that signal there, that all of our we've got no fluff lines down here. So we want all of these to be going as fast as they possibly can. So we'll make sure we get some nice high speed junctions here, as high as we can. There we go, 75. And then we'll come all the way down to this station. We have a collision there. I'm not sure what it's with. It's that field that I drew in. Well, that's unfortunate, but we can just remove it. Just turn that down. I can't remove the signal. Okay, do I have to bulldoze it? Yes, okay. Let's just remove that field. We can always draw in a different or a smaller field if we want to bring it back in. But that's just decoration, so it's not really that relevant. Okay, so if we come as far as here, and let's go ahead and remove that signal there. And where's the switch? Just there. Will you be 75 miles per hour? You're going to be pretty close. Yes, you are. Wonderful. And we'll do the same here. We'll marry that up. So where did it become? There. It's about there, isn't it? That should be 75. Brilliant. And bring you out all the way up to there. And now what we want to do is just put some signals down on this new stretch. And again, all we'll do is we'll just marry up with the existing signal position on our existing line like that. Maybe put one more set here. I'm not sure what services we will have running on these outer tracks, but we can make that determination in a little while. Let's go ahead and put some dwarf signals there alongside those ones. Wonderful. And where's our next set? Just here. And you're using 3 aspect. Let's use the same, shall we? Are you 3 aspect as well? Yes, you are. You 4 aspect? You're 3. Okay. There. Where's our next set? All the way down here. Looks like these are all 3 aspect on this bit of the track, which is fine, doesn't matter. And then what we want is something like that. And we're going to need something similar up here as well. Like that and like that. We'll keep that one in because it shouldn't deadlock anything. It might slow something down, but it's not going to bring the whole network to a standstill. And then let's go to the line overview here. Okay, we don't... that's what we want to deselect it like that. Right, so what do we want running down here? Let's put the tools. What signal is that? Okay, that's the station signal there. So any new waypoints have to be after Axbridge signal number 11. Let's add that and that. And what else? Let's have this line separated as well. So what signal is that? Again, that's the station signal. So on your way down, let's just make sure. Herne Bay. Yeah, so this is on the way back to Epping. Okay. So we want... Where's the signal? There's one. We want to do that and that. And there we go. That just balances a load across the tracks a little nicer. I don't think they were really getting stuck behind one another, but just to expand the network a little, we will just separate them out as much as we can. We could also think about doing something here. Let me just think about this. So we have a line stopping here. What we could do, what line are you on? Okay. What do I was thinking, could we get these to come out here and pass through, then merging back down here? Or do we want to keep them all going through the one stretch of track? It's only 2 services running through there, so shouldn't cause too much in way of delays, actually. I think we should be able to leave that as it is, actually, and it won't cause too much of an issue for us, I dare say. What about down here? Do we want to do something similar down here? But this is all completely unnecessary. Let me have a think. And how would we do it? Because we've got separate tracks already. We'll leave that one for now. Again, it's not causing any great dramas. Doing something here might be a possibility because it is a very, very busy junction. And there are times when trains are getting held up here, waiting for the junction to clear. Well, what we could do... No, I think we'll just leave that because we're a bit limited in terms of space because of where this station is here at Herne Bay. We don't really have much scope to do any sort of flyover, plus the terrain is rather level here, so we don't have that natural elevation change that would promote a flyover, unless we brought the tunnel out a little bit sooner and had one line flying over down into here like that. That would get at least one food train off of this junction and the grain as well, actually. Just look at this. At this one junction we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 services all utilising this junction. So if we could get the food to Axbridge and the grain services and maybe even the fuel service. I know you're coming from that way, so that wouldn't work. Well, the bricks could also use the flyover. Would we be able to do that? Well, what we can do is quickly test. We will delete all this because this is not how the final version is going to look. Can we get you to come out? What do we have here? Class 37B are green and the series 1042. Maybe look at putting some of them on the network in this episode. Not really too concerned as to what service we put them on, but at the minute our cargo lines are basically just using the NoHab and the that electric, whose name and number does elude me at this moment, so just to mix it up a little. Anyway, as I was saying, if we could have this come out like that, again, we will be deleting this. This is not a permanent thing. And have you stay straight. Are you high enough? Yes, you are. Let's keep you as earthworks for now, though. Thank you. And now we could have a flyover like this. In fact, you probably want to start heading down a bit, don't you? Let's say a 2% gradient there. Again, if we are going to do this, then we'll put a nice looking bridge and all that in, and we'll make sure it's not too ridiculous. Too much slope, so you're too high. Well, okay, we can just make sure you come down just a touch. So let's take this back a ways to say there. And let's keep it level like that. And then from here we should be able to come down. with a reasonable enough gradient, although this would be one way, it's all downhill. So the gradient doesn't really matter because we are utilizing gravity rather than fighting against it. But it does look a bit too steep though, doesn't it? Do you know what? I think we will do this. And do we need then to keep this line here? What comes down here? Tools to Epping could use a flyover. The grain would use a flyover. The food would not, because it's going to join in after the freight exchange. So we would need to keep this in because we need this to stay on the existing track. You could use the flyover. You can use a flyover. And you can use a flyover. So then we'd only have one service coming northbound using this junction, which would reduce the traffic quite substantially. So if we're going to do that then, let's just get rid of all of this. Because I've committed ourselves now, we are doing it. Because I don't want them to separate inside a tunnel. I never like doing that. So what we might have to do is just pause it. Because we might have to give ourselves a bit of space here. Like so, with a cutting. There we go. Now we can resume it. Everybody is happy once again. And the southbound track from this point here, we're going to have it come away to do its own thing. Let's just make sure we have a decent looking overlap here. That is not decent looking at all. So we're dropping down there to come back up again later, but it's worth it in my view to make sure we have a nice looking junction here, which we now do. We will have to have a bit of a tunnel as we go under this road here, which is okay. And we want you to just basically come out nice and soon, but without too much gradient. What's that? 99 there. Yeah, that's okay. That's only 2.3% gradient. The tunnel entrances don't collide in any way, so that looks okay. I can live with that. And from here on out, if we stay at this height, will we be high enough to induce a bridge? We will. But at this point, I'd want to keep it as earthworks, just so the bridge isn't over long. Let's just get this to stay. Let's get it to go to... Will 90 meters do us? Let's see here. Let's find out. Yes, it will. Now we'll choose our bridge. And I do believe we've now unlocked all bridge styles. So let's go right to the end. Something like that. Although I don't like the lack of guard railing on that bridge. So perhaps not. What about that one? Again, no guard railing, and that's far too close to that under track there, so not that one. A suspension bridge would just look odd, I think. Yeah, it just doesn't fit right there. Might just have to stick to that bridge then, which is fine. Gives us good clearance over the line below. We have guardrails, and it does look the part. Let's just have it come down to 85 meters. Okay, perfect. And then what slope will you be if we bring you down here? Too much slope, so what we're going to do is just get rid of that bit and that bit. That way we don't have to worry about selecting the bridge type again, because it's remembered it from the little stretch track there. We don't want to come down that aggressively. And in fact, if let's take that back to say there. Let's have that set to 2% or as near as damn it. There we go. And then from this point, I bet this is going to be too much slope as well. Yes, indeed it is. Okay, so take 3. Let's go back as far as there. In fact, what we can do, this is make it much, much easier, is get rid of that signal first. That needs to go. Do this. We want to make sure we get a good speed here, so 75. And what height are we at here? 38 meters. Oh wow, that's that drops quite a lot. Well, let's see how does that look? It's quite steep. Okay, so let's revisit this. Come over there. 84 meters. The bridge feet look fine. And the bridge itself looks okay in terms of slope. How's that? It's quite steep, but yet again, we're not fighting against gravity for this. It is downhill, it's one way. So, do we want to do that? Maybe just... In fact, let's look from this angle. Maybe like that. Yeah, I think that's as good as we're going to get it, just because, yeah, this track is quite below ground level, which is causing the main problem here. So I think we'll just have to go with that. It's not as good as I would ordinarily like it to be, but it's good enough. Anyway, let's just do some terrain smoothing around here where we've just been working. Like this. Just with a view to blending it in a little better, of course. There we go. And across there. And there. Perfect. Now let's give ourselves some one-way signals down here. So we'll put one just as we enter the tunnel there. We'll put a dwarf signal inside the tunnel. And then we'll put a chain of signals all the way down here. Like this. Squeeze one in there. And then we want signals here and here for entry into the main line. Has anything rerouted? Yes, it has. So this stretch of track then is no longer needed. But I think we'll keep it in anyway. And we should have reduced the amount of traffic coming on this junction now. Let's just have a look. Yeah, we've still got quite a bit of traffic here. But this is all heading south, or primarily heading south. And I don't know if we want to do the same thing again for the southbound traffic. Either way, we've eliminated about 50% of the total traffic because most of the lines are now coming up here, so it should make a noticeable difference in traffic flow on this little stretch here. Yeah, we'll leave it as that. Okay, so that's another tweak made. What else could we want to do? Like I said, we could perhaps get this iron mine connected into here. How are you doing on your production? You're fine. I hope you haven't withdrawn your services too much. No, not at all. So that's all looking good. Has the coal train actually made a delivery yet? That's my next question. Well, let's see if we can find it. You're not coal. Is this your first journey? I think it will be. Oh, no, it's not. So you, depending on how long it takes you to do a round trip, which we can find in the line statistics, we can see if it's going to be profitable. Close enough, I think. It's fine. For what it's doing, it's absolutely fine. Nice, slow, casual coal hauling service across the map there. Okay, so then the last thing we'll do today is just look at those 2 new trains that we unlocked and see if we want to swap out some of our freight trains for those new trains. And I'm thinking some of our long distance high value trains are primary candidates. I'm thinking perhaps the one that ships grain from here, or the two that ship grain from here. The one that we have shipping fuel up to Epping is quite profitable. It's very profitable. So things like that that are going a long distance is where we'd want to look into maybe utilising these new locomotives. So the first candidate is right in front of us, and this is the one which ships planks to the machinery factory. So let's manage these vehicles, manage both, then we can do a side-by-side comparison between the two. So what do we have? Let's just click loco so we can see them all. So it was a class 37 and a 1042. At the moment they're running the RE44, which does 78 miles per hour, etc, etc, etc. So that's a very powerful train. What's how much is it per year? So it's an extra $1 million per year. Although we do have 2 on that service, so that would be a total of 2 million. So if that can do just as good a job with a single loco, that should be much of a muchness. Yeah, it's negligible difference between those two there, as we can see. So you will be swapped out. We don't need that there, that's ridiculous, and we want you at the front of the train, please. So that's the first change. That's gonna, it shouldn't make us any more money. In fact, it's probably gonna make us a little bit less because it's ever so slightly slower on the acceleration. And what else did I say? The fuel up to Epping is another contender, which I believe is, you know, you're going to Long Eaton, you're going to Herne Bay. There you are. Again, it looks like we could do a similar swap here, because again, this is doubled up with the RE44, and for the same price as 2, we can have one series 1042, like that. Can we have you changed out for a class 37? So the NOHAB, they look similar in terms of power. This one's a little faster, but that's largely irrelevant because our wagons are limited to 75. And the class 37 is actually cheaper. So let's see here. Is that the only variant we have? Yeah, one variant. Mediocre. That's good enough. You're not going a long distance, so we don't need to worry about that quite so much. And we do have now a proper, I believe these are UK diesels, the class 37s. Yep, British Rail. So that's fine. You fit the theme of the map quite nicely. What else? What's another short service we might want to put a class 37 upon? Maybe the one that ships planks here, this one, which is currently running the RE44. Yeah, that's fine. Again, you're not really going a massive distance, and you are a little bit cheaper to run, so we'll apply you onto that service as well. I think also the grain trains, one of which is the MGL, we want to do the same thing here. So you're currently doubling up with diesels, okay. Let's do a side-by-side comparison again. Let's remove both diesels off of that. And what if we add 2 diesels onto that? So that's 1.6 million. You're 1.8 million. So in terms of maintenance, you're cheaper. But what are you like in terms of your performance? 132 seconds, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Let's look at the 12.5 kilometers on a medium. That's 10.8 kilometers on a medium. Okay, so that's one option. What about using the 1042? I think you should be superior. We'll look at that. Yeah, look at that. Medium grade, 3 kilometers to top speed. This one is 10 kilometers to top speed. You're 2.1, so this would be more expensive per year, but I can live with that. And I think we can absorb the cost of that, the extra couple $100,000 this is now going to incur in maintenance fees. So the MGL and train number 36, very originally named, will now see the new, what was it called now? I've forgotten the name of the train already, and I was just looking at it. Details, what are you? 1042, yeah. Okay, anything else? We have a nice little shunt service here, don't we? What brings bricks over to Epping. You're an ideal candidate because you're running a very expensive train at the moment, the RE44, 1.1 million. So popping you on there is going to save us a bit, and you're not going that far anyway, so that's suitable in my view. And I think that's enough for now. We can do some of the others a little bit later, and I think this is where we'll call an end to things for today. I think what we'll do in terms of our journey is I might go for a full round trip from the coal mine to the steel mill and back again on the new line we set up at the start of the episode, or we might just do the single leg of the journey. Depends how long it's going to take. So to facilitate that, what I'll do here is I'll pause the calendar, increase the game speed just to get him back up there and fully loaded, which shouldn't take too long, and then when we're ready to go we'll hop on board for a little cab ride outro for this episode. Alright, so here we go, just departing the Herne Bay coal mine on the way to the steel mill. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode. It was a bit filler and a bit of tweaking and making a few modifications, but I think that's the phase of the game that we're in at the moment. There's little else for us to do in terms of freight and industry. We've got everything connected up, barring one or two industries which we don't need anyway, which, like I said, we might go ahead and connect just for the sake of it. So at this point it is just a case of making modifications here and there. Again, it might make them more efficient, it might not. Largely irrelevant at this point, so I'm not too fussed by that. If we're playing extreme hard mode, then yes, of course it's something you factor in, but we're not doing that, are we? So we do have some increased difficulty with our sliders, of course, but nothing that's gonna, well, we need to move that tree. Yeah, but it's nothing that's gonna greatly cause us harm if our lines aren't 100% efficient. At this point it's just essentially playing model railways. But I hope you enjoyed the episode regardless. In the next one I think we will look at doing an airport from Long Eaton up to Epping. Here's another tree that needs trimming back a little bit, just so we can have some planes whizzing about overhead. Again, not concerned about the efficiency or how cost effective it all is. It'd just be nice to have some planes featured on the map, I think. But for now then, ladies and gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.